Okay, well, I guess it's 7 p.m. We can call this meeting to order. This will be the annual organizational meeting of the town of Roxbury for January 4th, 2022. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and we have any elected officials who are present. We do need to do an oath of office.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Councilwoman, Supervisor, in and for the town of Roxbury according to the best of my ability. And I do further solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, or promised to pay, contributed, or offered or promised to contribute any money or other valuable thing as a consideration or reward for the giving or withholding a vote at the election at which I was elected to said office, and have not made any promise to influence the giving or withholding of any such vote, so help me God.
I do.
I do. Okay. We'll start off with the minutes from our regular meeting of December 13th and our year-end meeting of December 28th. You should have had copies of minutes from both of that. Does anybody have any questions or changes? If not, can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
I did have a comment.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Typo again? Okay.
no, it was, just, everybody else kind of said in the beginning if they were opting in or whatever they wanted, but, Jerry Stein did not say he was for or against it, but he just asked a question, so I thought maybe we needed to put that in there.
But he had asked a question about it?
Well, no, in the beginning when he said he was not for or against it, he did, give his
Okay.
opinion.
Wanted that entered in the minutes, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody else okay with those changes?
Yep.
Okay. We need a motion for the minutes then.
We'll make it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving right on, we're gonna go down through these kind of quickly. Water and sewer, we did get written reports, from Mike Harrington concerning the water project. I don't know if anybody has any questions concerning that. I don't think Mike is gonna be on tonight. He had submitted as a written report. And the same thing with the monthly reports for our water operators. We received written reports from each of those for the Denver Water, Roxbury, and Gorge water systems and the Roxbury sewer. One thing I did want to just mention from Mike's report, looks like Hubble will be about done with the road up on Denver in the next day or so. They were able to get it in and get the weather to get it done, so that'll be done in the next day or so. Under planning, did we get a report for planning? I didn't see one in there. No, I don't think we did. We do have under planning though, we do have a resolution which we'll talk about under resolutions for the county planning board. It's for review. Building and grounds, I don't think we have much, unless you do, Ed, for Grand Gorge.
No, I see we had this, with the firemen, when, they wanted to use the gym for.
Yeah, and I believe Danielle is on here, on the meeting, so.
Also, we'll discuss.
We're gonna talk that, we'll talk about that a
Yeah,
little
cause
bit.
they've already set up with me for
Yeah.
the reserve,
She said she'd spoken with you about doing that, and I know we're probably gonna talk about a parade report for that too, so.
Yeah.
Bill, what do you have for us?
Not much since the year-end meeting on December 28th. The only thing I do want to mention that all our positions are finally full, and all the new hires are working out great. Our part-time guy is working out great. And that's about it.
So you have 10?
Yes.
10 guys and one part.
And myself. Yep.
Okay. Stephanie, what do you got for us?
Well, just a couple of things. I gave everybody, I wanted to do like a little, year-end review thing. So I just gave you guys a couple of little sound bites about exemptions and stuff. Because, I'm really, Bob and I are really high on exemptions. So we'll be dropping the ags and the senior exemptions in the mail in the next day or two. And so this year, it was a busy real estate year. So there were, and I'm only, categorizing now arm's length sales. So in 2021, there were about, plus or minus, because all the numbers aren't in yet, about 101 parcels, not sales, because individual parcels that changed hands. And last year it was a little bit more. It's about 113 plus or minus. So that was a lot. We picked up 9 new 480A or forestry exemptions. So we have 42 now participating in that. And we've got 108 active ag exemptions, which is exciting also. Now the other thing that Bob and I did not put in this report, Alan, but it's been on my mind, and that is the senior exemption. So everybody's talking about inflation and all that great stuff. So we are looking at about a 5% year over year uptick. And back when we did the revale in 2015, Bob and I had talked with the board at that time about upping the income level for the senior exemption. That's the lowest of the lowest income people. And so, and you guys supported that. So we were, pretty happy about that. We actually led the pack for a little while. So, I haven't crunched the numbers yet, but we will be coming back to you next month with a new plan potentially, given the state of the economy right now and given inflation and how that impacts seniors, and we want them to be able to stay in their homes. So we're going to come back to you with an idea about increasing our existing levels, our sliding scale up to about 5%. And then also, Alan, we'll also come back to you and give you some hard numbers because the county has not changed their senior income level scale in who knows how long. And so whereas for the town, the max limit for that is 23.5, and at the county level it's 16,000. So there's a lot of daylight between that. So what we're going to do is we're going to, and of course this is only one town, but what we're going to do is give you how many of our seniors, this is the lowest of the low income people, actually are actually eligible for that county limit. And the answer is not a lot. But if the county just brought that up to somewhere between like a living wage, I think that would help our seniors, not to mention seniors in other towns, a lot. So we'll be getting back to you with some hard numbers, not only for Roxbury, but for the county as well. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, more to come.
More to come. Okay. Anybody have anything for
I
Stephanie?
got just one question, just so you could, and it might be crazy, but what qualifies for an ag exemption? Is it acreage? Is it?
It's two things. So if you're going to be a farmer, there's an income limit. If you have under 5 acres, under 7 acres, it's a $50,000 annual income limit.
Okay.
If you have at least 7, then it's $10,000 annually. If you're renting your property, it's still a 7-acre minimum, and it has to be used by a farmer that has an agricultural exemption or meets that 50,000 income limit.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anything else for Stephanie? Okay. We all received a report from our building inspector along with a list on he gave us the list.
What I gave
You
you.
gave us the list, okay. We have a list of outstanding permits.
We don't have a report from him for
Okay.
a couple months.
Yeah. I need to follow up on that. Okay, I will follow up with Tom on that. All right, Parks Department and grants. First off, we have, I don't see Denise on here. So, the only thing we had, we've been talking about, and I know Lindsay is on here if anybody has any questions, is finalizing this contract for the kitchen. I think we've all reviewed it a couple times.
Yep.
If we're all set, if nobody has any questions or comments, we'll go ahead and approve that later in our resolutions.
Did we ever resolve who was going, how the money, if they leave a deposit, how is that gonna work out?
I don't recall.
Cause that was one of the questions I had.
As far as where it's gonna be held, you mean?
Yeah, if they give you a check or, you know.
I talked to Beth about it, she kind of pretty much agreed with what I said, she said it would be better if everybody just paid with check, then you can hold the deposit.
Just hold the check deposit, yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
That's probably
Do
easier.
we need to put that?
I have a question if I can.
Sure.
So Diane, in the past, Carolyn said that checks held for more than 4 months cannot be held any longer. Is that accurate, or does Beth have a different take on that?
Diane saying she thought it was
I
6 months.
6 months, but I could be wrong, I don't know.
Well, it could be 6 months, but often these people put a deposit down via check a year before. So does that create an issue, or do you bill out the 6-month deposit 6 months before their event? I think that kind of stuff needs to be discussed with Denise and worked out. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think does that have anything to do with our pay structure for the kitchen though? I think that's more of an issue for the whole park that we need to determine.
Well, I think no matter what, that when you take a deposit, you have to make sure that that deposit will be returned within 6 months upon receipt if it's not
Right.
utilized. So, or it can be a non-refundable deposit. I just think that there's a little bit of that needs to be ironed out.
I don't think it's ready yet.
We wanna hold off on it then, until we get that worked out? All right, well, we can check with that. I don't know why we couldn't just go ahead and deposit it and hold it as and then return it. If
A
we need
restricted
to.
fund. So,
Hold it as a restricted fund somehow, but,
Then you
so
just-
I think,
yeah, I need to discuss that with Beth. I'm not sure how we're.
but
gonna
I think it's okay for you guys to approve the contract with a stipulation that you're going to review where the deposits go and how they're held. Does that make sense? I mean, I think
That was
Denise,
kind of my thought, but
Okay.
it's up to you guys. If you wanna hold off, we can hold off on the
No,
whole thing.
but yeah, if we can
Or we can-
amend that later, you know, if we need to.
Yeah.
If there's anything in the contract that says
Yeah,
that.
we're not gonna run it right away.
Well, and I think the other thing is how many will actually pay in full over 6 months ahead of time.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. A lot of people pay up whenever they make the thing. That's what I said. I think I can check with Beth, but I think we can probably work out to hold it as a restricted fund and just return it if we have to.
so it can become a non-refundable deposit, but is this also a security deposit? That's my biggest question.
Well, that's what we have to look into. I'm not sure how that should be handled as far as.
I thought I was under the understanding it's a deposit that if you don't clean the kitchen the way it's supposed to
Right,
be,
it gets
we're gonna
returned to
keep
you.
it too
Yeah.
clean for you.
Right.
So that in fact is a security deposit.
And yes.
So
Yeah.
that's where we have to be clear about when it's taken in and who determines if it's kept or they get it back. You know, is that Denise who inspects it, which is fine, that's the way it should be. But
That was the question.
it seems to me that 6-month security deposit or that security deposit needs to be timed so that it's not being held by the town longer than 6 months. I know that Carolyn was really very strict about this and rightfully so. So, you know, we should not think about reinventing the wheel or revisiting this until we figure out exactly how that rolls out. But it's okay to improve the bulk of the contract is in place. So rather than delaying Denise authorizing contracts, she can just say, I'm authorizing the contract, but the deposit requirement will be determined within the next month. Does that make sense? I'm not, you know,
What are your guys' thoughts on that? You're both the park committee, so
I-
whatever you're comfortable with.
I mean, I'm fine going that way. I gotta believe, I don't think it's gonna be that big of a problem being it. I mean,
Yeah.
if maybe we rent the kitchen out 50 times, but
Yeah.
Was it just for the kitchen though?
So I think it was
Yeah.
also for the cleaning for pavilion as well. Normally they have a deposit for
I
that
think
too.
we were still letting Jim.
Yeah, it's an add-on to the pavilion.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. So. All right, well, what's your pleasure? You wanna table it till next month and get these questions answered, or do you wanna go ahead and pass it and not worry about it? And sort it out next month with the fee structure? I do wanna talk to Beth before I decide which way we're gonna go.
I would say we should talk to her and then do this next month.
Beth
All right.
and Denise.
And Denise, and since Denise isn't on tonight, we probably should do that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll table it for now then.
I have one question.
Sure.
Did we decide whether or not to reduce the fee for folks who book the kitchen for an extended period of time or on a regular schedule?
I don't know who that is, so. I
Yeah,
can't
who's
put it in the
talking?
minutes.
I'm not sure. Is that Lindsay?
Oh, sorry, Lindsay Dodd.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lindsay. I didn't see you talking there. I'm sorry.
Hi, sorry about that. Yeah, we had discussed possibly reducing the total fee if people wanted to rent out for, on a regular basis, say, once a month or something like that, if they're, creating product or something like that.
Yeah, we did talk about it. I don't think we've made a decision on that yet, actually.
Okay.
Nope.
But,
Okay, great. Thank
okay.
you. Recording.
Okay, with grant section, Katie, what do you have, and Peg?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Yep, good. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we have submitted the final drawdown and we'll be submitting the final reporting on the CDBG home repair program.
Okay.
So in total, $433,650 went into 16 homes in the town of Roxbury over the last 3 years through that program. We just found out we were awarded the New York Main Street program that we submitted for Roxbury Main Street for $490,000 that will go towards improvements to 8 to 10 mixed use commercial properties located on Main Street in Roxbury. So the program includes facade repairs and interior renovations to the commercial spaces like flooring, plumbing, heating, foundation repairs, stuff like that. And it can also include renovations to residential units on the upper floors. This program is set up as a 50% grant, 50% owner match. And we're waiting on the contract to come in from the state. So once that comes in, we'll be reaching out to building owners along Main Street with more information about the program, how the funds can be used, and how they can go about applying. And we also found out we were awarded a home repair program for the Hallmark service area. So we have $300,000 that will go to about 10 homes for code corrective repairs, health and safety, and weatherizing, like energy efficiency stuff. So town of Roxbury residents are eligible to apply under that program as well.
Do you know what the amount of that is, Katie?
For the
Sorry,
home repair one?
Yeah, 300,000, I guess.
300,000, yep.
Okay. Okay, anybody have any questions on any of that, Katie? All right, Peg, do you have anything for us other than that? Possibly with some of the Kirkside stuff that's going on, so we can keep abreast?
Sure. A couple of things. I'm waiting on Mike Hinckley for an estimate on those light posts. So we have comparable estimates. We obviously have one from another electrician. I reached out to Mike again yesterday. We submitted a site plan application to the planning department. Just curious if there's an acknowledgement aside from the fact that I know Diane is totally due diligence and pass that along, but will they acknowledge when they're going to review that?
I believe they'll probably contact you when they're gonna do a review. You
Okay.
submitted an application. You may wanna check with Phil and find out what they've got for a schedule.
Yeah, I reached out to him via email. I'll do so again, just to make sure that, we're on the agenda, so to speak. I know they're busy with some other things in the hopper, I'm sure.
Okay.
And we plan on applying for some funds at the end of January, early February through the federal grant program through the Economic Development Agency, and there is a funding plan in place. But I also want to open the dialogue for a community partnership agreement with the town, which is in the raw sense of the form, is where we say, you know, where we think this project provides great positive impact to the town. So if you guys want to say, well, if that's the case, we'd like you to use local contractors to such an extent, things like that. And Lindsay, if it's okay with you, I'd love to have a conversation about this, because I think that it requires some real massaging to make sure that, you know, both entities, you know, Kirkside as the developer, quote unquote, and the town are protected in that kind of agreement. So maybe we can draft up something for the February board meeting for them to kind of just digest and talk about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds great, Peg. Do you want to call my office later this week?
Sure.
Okay.
That would be awesome. You know, I have the bulk of the information. I think that this is a win-win across the board, but I think that there also needs to be some more opportunity for community input, and therefore I'm willing to set up the Zooms and the open meetings as best we can from our place in the world at Kirkside.
Okay, great. Do you need my contact information?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you're somewhere in my Rolodex of abyss of emails. But if not,
Okay.
I'm sure Diane can give it to me.
All right, great. I
Thank
will
you.
await your call. Thanks, Peg.
Okay, anybody have anything else for Peg or Katie concerning grant stuff?
No.
I want to commend the two of you guys, or especially you, Katie, for all the grant applications we've received. I think that's great for the community. These have been in the works for a while, and I know it was a joint effort, but I want to commend the Mark Project, especially for coordinating these things and getting them done for us. It's going to be huge for the community. So.
Alan, do you want me to jump on the website and the chosen contractor?
Sure. While you're on, why don't you do that, Peg? Then we can cut you off if you want to get out. So.
No, I never want to leave. I want to stay here forever and ever. So Mike and Alan and I narrowed it down to 3 developers and interviewed all 3. And we unanimously, after lengthy discussions, settled on David Rainbird, who is Margaretville based. And I think I would hope on the agenda there is the approval to approve that contract. There's an item to approve that contract because I'd like to get this moving as soon as we can.
Peg, do we have a contract? We have an RFP, but are we going to need to?
We have an RFP and we have his cost estimates. If you approve hiring him, then I will develop the contract.
Okay.
And give it to you at the February board meeting for execution. But I need the approval to go ahead and do that.
Maybe get that ahead and give it to Lindsay or Kevin to review as well.
You got it.
Before the next board meeting. So.
I need those RFPs because I need to list them in the minutes,
Did you hear that, Peg?
Yep.
whoever we received them from.
Yeah, the RFPs that we received, Diane wants those so they can be listed in the minutes.
I can absolutely do that. And we had 5, I think, total, narrowed it down to 3 and 1 selection.
Okay.
So Diane, I'll put together a package for you. It's probably better to put it on a jump drive that you can just plug into your computer rather than trying to download all of these. Some of them are pretty high res files. So.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense. Do we have anything else for anybody in that respect? Okay, moving on. Short-term rental committee, we still have it on our list. I know not much has been happening, but I'll mention it since it's on there. Nothing, you haven't met or done anything else recently, okay. Okay. Macker, as we said earlier, is not here tonight. He's heavily into snowmaking right now, so he will not be. I'm sure he's not even zooming in. I don't see he's on there. So, okay, moving on. Under old business, we talked about the Kirk solar side light poles. We had a letter and a response from Henry Lamont about the water issues with Dengler. Basically, because of the issues that we had and the problems he had, Lamont is willing to do a replacement on one of the water heaters that he had problems with. I just want to make sure if the board is okay with that we can resolve that and let them know that Lamont's will move forward with that. And as I said, I think some of the things we're trying to do with the water system by connecting Lake Street and Roosevelt Avenue are going to cure those problems or help alleviate those problems as well. So if you guys are okay with that, we will let them know.
Yep.
And under this Levitrius, I guess it is, sewer repair bill, that's up in Denver. We talked about that briefly last month. We are looking into what, if any, sewer laws exist that control who does what for that. We, to date, have not been able to find anything. I know Diane reached out to the Roxbury Run to look in some of their old records to see if anything's available. But before we decide on this, we need to get a little more information. And so we're trying to see what we can track down, if anything's available. Lindsay, we may need to have you or Kevin get involved in this as well.
I think Kevin already has been, excuse me.
I think you've already looked into it a bit. And the last thing we had on old business, the infectious disease plan, we tabled it last month concerning the HERO Act. I would like to get some better input on what all that entails. Lindsay, I don't know what you have in information on that, but I know this has been asked of a lot of different municipalities as far as adopting this.
Yes, pretty much every town that I'm, working with, everyone has adopted some version of it. It usually doesn't stray too far from the template, but again, it depends on your individual town hall office setup. What works for you, what space you have to work with. So it really comes down to hammering out the details of what that's going to look like for your space.
Yeah, and I think we're going to need to look into that a little bit more before we decide what we're going to do there.
Okay.
So I understand that it's something the states kind of require them, but I'd like to, before I commit to anything, I'd like to know a little more about what it entails and what it's going to require on the town's end. So
it's basically just coming up with the plan for mitigating the spread of infectious disease, providing PPE where required, and options for remote work, who's eligible for remote work and what that looks like if it is available.
well, I guess I know we addressed all this stuff early on with COVID, and it kind of came down to our highway guys is probably the most important issue with it, but we're just trying to figure out how that's all going to play out. Are we going to stay with what we did initially with Bill still here with the highway, or where basically you're just keeping them in their trucks through the day, or what do we need to develop there? Maybe what would be helpful, Lindsay, if you said a bunch of other towns have done this, if you've got some other towns similar to us, it might not hurt to take a look at what they've adopted or put together.
Sure, I can send you the other plans that you can review and see what you like and see what you'd like to throw out.
Okay, that might be helpful if you wouldn't mind doing that.
Not at all.
Okay. Anybody else have anything on that with it? Okay. Anybody have anything? I don't have anything for new business unless somebody has something that I'm missing. Okay. And moving on, under discussion from residents, we don't have a lot of people on here tonight. I don't know if there's anybody that does want to speak. Please let us know. I guess Robin, I don't know who else is. Ricky, maybe you're on there. I don't know if anybody has anything they want to address for the board tonight. Let us know. And if not, we'll move on to resolutions, which we have.
Hi, Alan. It's Robin. I would like to. Hi. Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I would just like to bring up one thing, and it's something about the volunteer fire department. We got a letter recently from them, and I'm sorry, I couldn't find the letter before this meeting, but anyway, so it's they are needing $35,000 for some new equipment. Is it a defibrillator?
Okay, yep.
Do you know what?
I'm aware of it, yes.
Okay, so I would like to suggest that we use some of the COVID funds that the town got or is getting to help the fire department or maybe pay for this piece of equipment that's so important.
Well, I think we've looked, as you know, I'm also involved in the fire department, but I think we've looked into that a little bit. That may be a possibility. I know the fire department's also doing some fundraising as they do annually anyway. But that certainly could be a possibility.
Yeah, we did talk about that, right?
Yeah, we did talk about it. I think it's just something that could be a possibility. So.
I think that would be a great thing for the town and the use of those funds.
Sure, I agree. I think we can work something out there. So.
Okay.
It's Judith. Is it? I wanted to ask. I've heard a lot of the different counties are getting N95 masks that they're able to distribute in various locations. I was wondering, is Roxbury going to be getting any? I know there's some available in Margaretville and a couple different places in Prattsville, which is obviously Greene County. But just wondering, are those going to be made available to the community?
Well, I have not heard anything yet through county emergency services about making them available to municipalities. But there may be a possibility of that. I'm actually on that committee in the county and I have not heard, but I can check into it and find out if anything is available. I know we have as a community and as the fire department received supplies from them throughout the last couple of years as we needed them. But as far as making them available to the public, I'm not so sure that that's been done at the county level. I have to check on that and find out.
Alan, it's Peg again. Sorry to bust in here, but just an FYI, the Assistance to Firefighter Grant Program has been extended. If that's helped to maybe defer some of the expenses for the defibrillator and whatever Grand Gorge may need. I'm just saying it's out there.
Yeah, I've seen some emails about that. I know it's out there. I know our chief's aware of it. And typically those kind of grants have come through the fire department. So we're a separate entity from the department. They're not a branch of the town. They're a separate, run by a former.
Correct. It has to come from the individual fire department.
Yeah, it has to come from the fire district to manage that. But we have done those grants before. We've had some pretty good success with them. But I know that program is open again now. So, Robin and Judith, you may want to actually talk to the Chief Jim about that as well, because I know they're looking into different avenues for stuff like that. Or Rich Dykstra, he's also very involved with some of the grants we've gotten through the fire department. So.
Yeah, I think grants are great, and we could, certainly use that money. But I think, money from the COVID funds, especially since they are answering so many more calls, this, than they have before. It just seems like we could, or the board could decide to give them some, the 35,000 out of the COVID money that the town is getting.
No, that's a possibility. That's for sure.
I didn't mean to diss that, Robin, by any means. I agree that I was just saying there's other opportunities out there. And I know that Danielle is on this meeting as well. She may speak to what Grand Gorge is facing as, equally as important.
No, absolutely. And I think the grants are a great idea. I think we could use as much money as we can get.
Hey Peg, this is Danielle. Hank is on here with me actually as well, and he says that he'll just reach out to Alan directly.
Sure, that's fine.
Thank you guys.
Danielle, while you're on here, if you want to talk a little bit about this, I saw a couple emails, and I know you've spoken with Diane about the Grand Gorge Fire Department's parade and permit that we discussed, or that you discussed with Diane earlier.
Yep.
While you're on, you're welcome to discuss it if you'd like.
So we are in the process of planning our 125th anniversary celebration for the fire department on August 27th of this year. The 100th entailed, which we're trying to follow close and suit to for the 125th. It entailed of a community-wide yard sale for the morning, mid-afternoon. They had food, and they had following the Brooks barbecue chicken back then, they had a firefighter parade at 5 o'clock. They had a band from 7 to 9 or close to that time frame, and then fireworks after. Our plan for this year is very similar. We wanted to reach out to the community and ask if they would do a yard sale. Last time we did one, there was only like 5 or 6 people they believe that participated. So I'm not sure what the turnout would be this time. But we would have food trucks located on the Windstar Realty property in the square of Grand Gorge from 10 to 6, and they are welcome to stay longer if they're doing well business-wise. We have asked Windstar for permission, and they're okay with it. We are doing a parade at 5 o'clock. They're lining up at Bosse's at 4:30. We actually today mailed out all of the save the dates to all Delaware County Fire Departments and fire departments we've also worked with from Schoharie, Greene, Shenango, Broome, Otsego, anyone we've worked with, Ulster County. We've invited all of them to participate. And they'll be lining up at Bosse's. Like I said, we got permission from Bosse's. We're sending that form back to them. Then at 7 o'clock, we will be having a band in the Civic Center, which we've spoken with Ed Rader regarding, got permission for that. And then following that band, there will be a fireworks display. Last time it was held over the cemetery in Grand Gorge behind the Civic Center. We asked Ed about that, and he didn't see an issue as long as there was no mess, etc. from that in the cemetery. We're working with the guy from the fire department company, which also does Margaretville. And he wants to come out and he wants to scope over the area and make sure it's even feasible. If it's not, we'll be looking at alternative locations for that. But the reason we wanted to reach out to the town is we were told that there would be potential to help us get the permit for the parade and possibly the DOT, like for shutting the road down for DOT.
I believe, and I think you'd had a discussion with Diane, we do have to do a resolution, and we would, as through the town, we would sponsor the permit for the parade. And if you're gonna do a lawn sale on the street that could affect traffic, they'll probably want us to include that in the permit. Even if it turns out to be small, it really doesn't change anything with the permit. It would probably make sense to go ahead and do both at the same time. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay.
If the lawn sale thing doesn't materialize or turns out to nothing, it doesn't really cost us anything for the permit. It's just a matter of doing the application and getting it in. So, and it does require a resolution.
Okay.
We have on here tonight, so we would do that and include anything that may be like a lawn sale or something with it, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, that sounds okay with us.
All right. I guess that's all we've got. We'll cover that. We can actually do that now if you want. While they're on here, Deanna's on here. We can do it. Or we can do it now if you'd like. Danielle, can I have a resolution for the Grand Gorge Fire Department to sponsor the DOT permit for a parade?
I'll make that.
Along with a lawn sale if needed.
Right, second.
And second by Ed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Carried. All right. Good luck. Sounds like a fun night.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we have several pages of resolutions we need to go through. I do want to, have a short executive session afterwards, just to talk about a couple personnel things. If we can do that, and, but I promise it will be short, so. With that being said, I think we'll go through the resolutions first, and then we can do a short executive session. Okay, we've all, received a copy of the committees for this next year and the appointments for everybody. Just a question, is everybody comfortable with the committees that you're on? It's the same as last year, there's not been any changes? So, okay, I need a resolution to adopt that appointments list of committees.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the next one is the resolution for the appointment of the deputy supervisor, who is Ken Davy.
I'll make that.
Second.
Go ahead.
All right, next one is a resolution for the appointment of the bookkeeper, Beth Bush, who has done an excellent job this last year. I don't know what I've done without her, she's saved us. Need a resolution for that.
I'd make it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Highway superintendent, appointment of the deputy superintendent. I'll let you do that, Bill. I
Yeah,
assume
that's really not a resolution, you just name it.
you're just naming him, okay. Probably not for me either. I think. And the town clerk gets to appoint a deputy town clerk.
You're having Ralph.
Ralph,
Yeah, okay. Diane, you get to appoint your town clerk.
That's Stephanie.
Stephanie will do that again. And for tax collector, we have deputy tax collector Carolyn Ferrasi. Does that need to be a resolution?
No,
Okay, there are appointments, right?
yeah,
Okay.
Bonnie gets to appoint the deputy.
Okay. We have a real resolution to reappoint Doug McLaurin as to the Historic Commission for a term from 1/1/22 to 12/31/24.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a resolution to reappoint Phil Zorda and Rob Cole to the planning board. Term would be 1/1/22 to 12/31/26. It's a 4-year term.
I'll make that.
I'll second.
5-year, I'm sorry, 5-year term. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next resolution, is our town board meeting schedule and our planning board and historic meeting schedule. The town board meeting,
No. You have to do the official undertaking,
oh, did
verbiage.
I missed that one, oops, how about that? Okay, resolution for the official undertaking, manner and verbiage as for elected appointed officials. You all have received a copy of that?
Yep.
You don't need to read that or anything, do we, Diane? No. Okay.
I'll make that.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Now I can get back to where I was, okay. Town board meeting schedule for 2022 would be the second Monday at 7 p.m. at the town hall, with the exception of April and Grand Gorge would be at the April and August will be at the Grand Gorge Civic Center. And our November meeting is normally the Thursday after Election Day, which would be Thursday, November 10th. Planning board meeting schedule for 2022 would be the third Wednesday of each month at 7:30 p.m. in the town hall. Historic preservation meeting schedule for 2022 is January, April, July, October on the third Friday at 10 a.m. in the town hall. And do they do meetings as needed additionally? Is that
Peg's on there, is an after.
Peg?
Yes,
As needed in between, you do meetings if required, right?
absolutely. If there's something that's gonna
Okay.
need to be expedited.
Okay, I thought so. So we need a resolution for all of those meeting dates.
I'd make that.
A second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You received a packet of policies in our last month's meeting. We'll need a resolution to review and readopt changes or any changes needed for any of these policies. We've had some time to review them. I'll read off the list of policies, and if there's anybody that requires any changes or would like to see anything different done with them, we certainly can. It's the procurement policy, the investment policy, sexual harassment policy, computer use policy, local privacy notification policy, code of ethics, travel reimbursement policy, section 504 grievance procedure, workplace violence prevention, employee handbook, drug fee awareness program, and a limited English proficiency policy. And that would all be one resolution.
I'll make that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the building inspector's agreement, we have the same agreement basically from last year. Ed, did you guys get a chance to talk with him?
Well, we did when we had.
We did that, so,
Earlier. Yeah, so all it's gotta be changed is the salary.
yeah, would be adjusted based on the salary, and we would adopt the same agreement.
Right.
Okay, you all had copies of that as well. Resolution for that,
I'd make that.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we need a resolution for the Mark project contract, which was reviewed, that was also in your packets to review.
I'm gonna just abstain.
You'll
from this.
abstain from that, okay. Anybody have any questions, concerns with the Mark contract? Okay, I'll need a resolution.
I will make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And we need a resolution to designate the supervisor and the deputy supervisor as check signers.
I'll
I'd
make that.
make that.
Okay, Ed and Deanna. And we need a resolution to approve the following designations. Atlantic Inland of Cortland as our fire inspector. They've been there for many years. Mountain Eagle as our official newspaper. NBT Bank and Wayne Bank for our banking. Mozart, Manzanero, and Scott LLP as our town CPA, also have done it for several years. And travel mileage rate per IRS rate is 0.585 per mile, or 58.5 cents per mile. And that will be set for 2020. I have a resolution for all of those.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We have a resolution for payment to election inspectors for mileage to attend annual inspection training.
I'll make that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have a resolution for payment of costs to attend training and meetings required for the supervisor, highway superintendent, deputy highway superintendent, town clerk, justice, assessor, office personnel, bookkeeper, parks director, building inspector, and town board. I don't think we missed anybody in that list. Need a resolution for that, for training and meetings.
I'd make.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to approve payments for the following charity organizations. Roxbury Library Association, as budgeted, $17,500. Legion Posts, $150 each, as budgeted. Roxbury Senior Club, $500, as budgeted. Catskill Recreation Center, $2,500, as budgeted. And as we did before, that's going to be, again, I believe, a swim program like they did last year. That did turn out to be pretty successful. I need a resolution for all of them.
I'll make that.
Second?
No, second.
All right. We discussed it briefly before. The Delaware County Planning Department contract for 2022 in the amount of $3,500. This is a contract for support from the county planning board. They support us on many issues and many planning programs. I need a resolution for that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next one's to approve the following written department reports: town clerk monthly report, assessor's monthly report, water clerk's monthly reports, dog control officer monthly report for December, which we did have in our packets.
I'll make that.
I'll
Second.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, resolution to transfer Roxbury Sewer District funds to the Roxbury Sewer Capital Reserve account. 2,884.12 for the O&M budget. That would be transferred into our capital reserve for Roxbury Sewer. Okay, resolution to approve petty cash accounts.
We didn't know. We didn't do that. I'll
Oh,
do it.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself again. Sorry about that. Okay, where are we going here?
D.
D and who? Mike?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry about that, guys.
Long list.
The list is getting shorter. We're almost at the end. I'm getting excited. I'm getting near the end. Okay, approve our petty cash accounts. Town clerk $100, justice clerk $100, tax collector $25. Need a resolution for all of those.
I'll make that motion.
In a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we need a resolution for the abandonment of Hoser Road, which is off of New Kingston Road. We have that in our packets. We did discuss this briefly last month. This is a road that has not been maintained as a road in many, many years, and it's no longer on the state's list of active roads. I believe you said it was somebody's lawn right now, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So we would abandon that road officially.
I'd make that motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the Kirkside Kitchen Use Agreement, we are going to table pending a discussion with Denise about
Okay.
some of the funds. And we have a resolution to award the RFP website redesign to Rainbird and Associates.
I'll make that.
I'll
Second,
second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Last page, look at that. We have a resolution we discussed briefly at the last month to adopt Delaware County's hazard mitigation plan. I believe we've had copies of this in previous times. This talks about flooding and things like that. We need a resolution to adopt that plan as the town of Roxbury.
I think it.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? Okay, we have a resolution, retiree classification for Blue Cross Blue Shield Health Plan, retroactive to 12/1/21. There's no change in the plan, and it's already covered and approved for the HRA. This was basically a clarification change, I think.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, we have a pre-approval for capital projects bills. I believe there was only two, and they're relatively small this time,
Yeah.
which is kind of surprising. Okay, resolution for that.
I'll make that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We already did the Grand Gorge Fire Department resolution. Lindsay, you are on here. I know we need to discuss this a little bit. I see Robin and Judith are still here too. You had sent us a letter concerning taking responsibility to shovel the sidewalk in front of the food pantry. I just wanted to, it appears from your email that you sent to us, there may be some issues liability wise for the town board by doing that because it's not our property.
Yes, so the town is exempted from liability for shoveling snow from the sidewalks. But if the town takes it upon itself to carry out that duty, it is also you know, responsible for the conditions it creates. So if the town shovels that sidewalk and it's, you know, done negligently or not done perfectly and somebody slips and falls, that is liability that the town is going to be responsible for. So while it is, you know, charitable to want to provide that service to the food pantry, that liability is something the town does need to consider. Because if you leave it as it is and don't take responsibility for shoveling that snow, that responsibility lies on the food pantry or the property owner of the food pantry to take care of that on their own.
I guess, Judith, you were the one that had asked if we would take that on, correct?
Yes, I asked, because you shovel it in front of the town hall, so wouldn't the same liability be an issue
No.
for shoveling? No, different?
Yeah, does the owner of the building, was he not going to shovel?
No, it's the food pantry's responsibility, we've been informed.
Gotcha.
But so I'm curious, Lindsay, so I'm afraid I didn't understand all of that. So
Sorry.
So the town hall, don't they assess the same liability for having the front of the town hall building shoveled?
That's a different issue. So we're talking about a public sidewalk, right, in front of the food pantry. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
That's correct.
Right. So under town law 65A, towns are protected from civil liability for failure to remove snow or ice from public sidewalks. But if the town took it upon themselves to perform that service, there is what's called an affirmative negligence exception. So the town does an affirmative act by taking on an additional duty of shoveling the snow in front of the food pantry that it is not responsible for under statute. So it brings possible liability onto itself if it does that snow removal incorrectly. Is that clear?
Yes. Yeah. So even though it would be the same person that shovels in front of the town hall, which is next door.
Well, we have
Right. Well, the acts of that, if it's a contractor or an individual, because it's acting on behalf of the town, it would bring liability onto the town. The fact that that same person is removing snow for the town hall is irrelevant because it's for the town hall's property. You know, the property in front of the food pantry is the food pantry's responsibility.
Can I ask a question on this? So the town law that you referenced, 65A, is that a Roxbury town law?
No, this is New York State town law.
Okay.
So Lindsay, I have a question, and maybe this is morphing into minutia here, but so I understand exactly what you're saying. But if the town does not pitch in and help, and the food pantry can't get their sidewalk shoveled, and somebody falls and bangs their head on the town hall because they're within 2 feet of the other building, does that not expose the town to liability?
If it occurred on food pantry property or the public sidewalk, then no.
Well, the sidewalks aren't public. We're told that the sidewalks are owned by the property owner.
Correct.
We're not told that the sidewalks are public. So if the sidewalks are owned by the property owner, so I'm sorry, I know I'm getting into minutia here, but this stuff makes me crazy. If we're all so afraid of liability that we're not going to make sure our walks are cleared, I wonder where that leads us. That's all.
Okay, so let me try to explain. So the abutting landowner to that sidewalk is responsible for clearing that sidewalk.
Correct.
Right. So if it comes down to, you know, there's a huge pothole in the sidewalk creating a dangerous condition, then somebody needs to notify whoever is maintaining that sidewalk to fix that. But if we're just talking about snow and ice, then unfortunately, that's not going to be the town's responsibility unless the town takes it upon itself to do that snow removal.
But again, we're talking about liability. So if somebody is walking from the town hall to the food pantry, and somewhere on that property line, they slip, but they fall more towards the town hall and bang their head on the town hall or the rail in front of the town hall, then the town is liable, correct? So would
Probably.
it be more beneficial to take the chance and clear the sidewalk? That's all I'm saying.
I'm not gonna be able to answer that because it's gonna be a town board decision ultimately.
It doesn't have to.
But
I get it.
get what you're saying.
If I pay you,
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to do-
Can I ask another question on this? Not to belabor the point, but so if the town took it on to clear the sidewalks, all of the sidewalks in the town of Roxbury, they are opening themselves up to liability?
Yes,
That's why you would have to.
it's called the affirmative negligence exception.
I understand what it is. I understand, Lindsay. It's if you do nothing, you are safe. And if you do something, you are not safe. I understand that. But if the town itself decides to clear its sidewalks to make it easier for its citizens to go about their daily business in the winter time, they cannot do a local law that protects themselves? I'm just asking.
No, they wouldn't be able to legislate themselves out of liability for negligence.
But they are in front of their own town hall.
No. Again, this is for negligence. If it happened in front of the town hall and the town is clearing the snow and ice, the town is most likely liable for that accident.
Okay, so what about other towns that do clear their sidewalks? Like Stamford, say.
Districts or villages.
Yeah, there's
Then-
one or two things. There's either an incorporated village, where the incorporated village through their village crew maintains the sidewalks along with the roads.
Or a sidewalk district.
Or you form a sidewalk district as we
Exactly.
discussed a couple times.
Exactly, and that separate district has its own liability insurance.
Right, or it's a rider.
That's what protects everyone. So the village of Stamford, whose public service, public works commission for the village clears those sidewalks. Same way in Middleburg, same way in Marlboro. And they have separate liability insurance for this purpose. But if a town just decides to clear the sidewalks in the absence of either a sidewalk district or an incorporated village that has separate liability insurance, that's where the issue comes in.
That's
Okay,
right.
but we could create a sidewalk district and decide not to tax all of our citizens or to use the money that they've already paid in taxes to take care of that, correct?
It is an option, but again, you'd have to get everybody who would be in the sidewalk district to agree to pay for it.
No. What I'm saying is if they create a sidewalk district and decide that the town of Roxbury will take that on, the money part, so that there doesn't have to be any agreement from any of the houses, because all residents of Roxbury, whether on Main Street or not, benefit from the clearing of the sidewalks. They could
No,
do that.
that's not how the sidewalk district works, unfortunately. It sounds great, but that's just not how it works.
Why couldn't they decide to do that, though?
Because the sidewalk district itself is creating an agreement among everybody who's in the district to cover the costs.
And the town could charge everybody $1. There's no amount that needs to be paid, is there?
Do it for $1.
Well, I think
And the town could then pay for those services. I'm just saying, could that be done, Lindsay?
No, under the rules for creating a sidewalk district are very strict. And
Yes.
unfortunately, that sort of arrangement isn't just not how it works.
Well, what would each sidewalk owner or resident on Main Street have to pay? What's the amount?
It depends. There are a couple of different ways of doing it. It's usually proportionate to whatever their property tax is. But there are several different ways to do it, whether you do it pro capita or according to the property, the lot size. So
But the town could decide to charge people a very nominal amount, correct? They could charge whatever they want. No, there's no rule that says that they have to charge a percentage, is there?
yes, there is in the statutes for creating the sidewalk district. It's called a special district under the law, but you have to use one of those two ways of calculating the cost. You can't create an arbitrary amount.
cost generally is based on what the cost of maintenance is. If we were to form a district and decide that we were gonna take care of a certain area in town for a sidewalk district, whatever the cost to maintain that would be broken up amongst the people that were in that district, and that's what your fee would be.
And this is all because we are not incorporated, is that correct?
We're not an incorporated
We're not a
village,
village.
no. No, we are not. And neither
Right.
is Grand Gorge, so.
So,
Right.
so Robin, just for the sake of trying to make sense of this all, much like an incorporated village has its own independent budget, so does a special district. Whether it be a sidewalk district or a special lights district, it's got its own independent budget that needs to cover the cost of maintenance and the liability insurance and things like that. So when forming a sidewalk district, aside from doing the legwork of getting the agreement of people in the district, the budget is then formed and approved by the town board to move forward with that district, et cetera, et cetera. It's,
I do think at this point, I'm gonna table this. I think we've had a long discussion about it. It all comes back to the same things that have been discussed many, many times, and I don't disagree that we would love to be able to do some of this stuff, but we need to follow our own guidelines as far as what is making sense concerning liability and things like that. So I think for tonight, this is tabled. We will see if there's any other options we can work on, as we've discussed in the past. But it is a much bigger nut than one property, unfortunately, and that's what we were kind of informed when we relayed this over to our attorney, so.
Okay, before we table it, could I make one suggestion? And it's not a suggestion that I really want to make, but I do think that at least for the businesses in Roxbury, and it's a very small area, I know that I think most or all of the businesses would be happy to incorporate and have their sidewalks cleared. So I understand that you don't want to do all of Main Street, which is unfortunate, but I do think that we could do a sidewalk district for the business district, which is what, a block or two? And I think business owners would be happy to go to pay for this. So how would we go about this?
Well, I think what we would need to do, go ahead, Ed, I'm sorry.
I'm saying, yeah, if like 10 of you got together and you wanted to do a section, you can go out and do that. There's nobody stopping you from doing and that's part of your responsibility.
I clear my sidewalk. I own a business. I clear my
clear
sidewalks and way beyond that on Main Street where my store is. So it's not a question of that.
Right. So
I realize I am opening myself up to liability by doing that, but I think it's an important thing to do.
Well, I guess at this point, as I said, we've talked about it a lot tonight. I think if there was, if the business owners on Main Street in Roxbury or in Grand Gorge or both were interested in forming a district of just the business section of the town, I'm sure that's something the town would consider. As far as the payment for that and what the costs were to maintain that and do the sidewalks for that district, whatever was designated, it would still come back to the fact whatever the town's costs are for that district would be paid by the people that are in that district. If it's 10 businesses or 10 or 5 or 15, whatever it is.
I wish we had 10 or 15 businesses.
I do too. But the other side of it is there are some residential properties in there, and they would have to also agree to that if that was to go forward, because you can't very well skip somebody's property if they're not in.
51% of the property owners in the designated district need to approve moving forward with that.
Is that true, Lindsay? That was a question I had as well, whether that's actually true.
I believe that's right. I was looking for the statute as we were speaking, but I haven't found it yet.
Okay, so there is long and short, there is a certain percentage of the property owners in a special district would need to agree to do it, correct?
Yes, and
Okay.
it can be done by petition.
That's done by a petition, and there then follows all the other protocol. And if it needs to go to referendum, then the people who vote on it are the people in that district.
Right.
Okay,
so
thank you.
That's where we're at with it. And with that being said, I think we'll table it for now. And if we can, as a board, have somebody come to us as a group and want to talk about it more, we're certainly willing to listen. But unfortunately, our hands are kind of tied as far as initiating this. We really need to get some kind of a petition or hear from enough people that would justify doing this. So with that, we'll move on. Next resolution, we've only got a few more here. I apologize for getting off track here a bit, but building permit fees. We've talked a couple times about changes for building permit fees. We've carried the same fees for quite a few years. If the board would like, I will get together and possibly a couple board members will look into the fees we have now compared to some of the other towns.
Yeah.
And see if it's something we want to look at changing, but I would like to ask some of the board members to help me with that. So if you guys are okay with that, we don't need a resolution about that, but I think we should look into it. Yeah. We can decide down the road where we want to go. We've already talked about, you received a copy of the list of open building permits. Again, this is not really getting much smaller, and it's been an issue for many, many years. We need to look into that further as well. You've received the highway equipment list from all of our active highway equipment at this point. You received a report on training hours for the town board, or excuse me, for the planning board. And you've also received the town clerk's annual report. As I said, I want to do a short executive session if we can do that. I just have a couple things to talk with you concerning personnel that we need to go over. And with that, I think we don't have anybody else we need to be on Zoom. We can just go in the other room and have a shorter session. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make that.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay.
Good night, everyone.
See you, Bill.
Good night.
Bill.
Hi, Bill. Hey, Bill.
So we solved the world's problem.
Did we have a battle while we were gone or what?
Yeah, we got this covered. We're on a mission.
I need a motion to back out of executive session, please.
I'll make that.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, results of the executive session, there's no decisions were made at this point. Discussions, no decisions. Is there anything else to discuss? We have to do the audit. I didn't forget that, I really didn't.
I'll make that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It was a small set of bills. I don't have my.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Okay, next meeting will be the September meeting. There is no additional meeting in January unless we have something.
September?
September, oh.
February meeting, I'm sorry.
Shoo.
Been a long day, folks. Next meeting will be February unless something comes up that we need a special meeting for prior to that. A reminder, as Diane put on here, highway contract expires at the end of this year, so we need to start working on that at some point. With that, I guess a motion to go home.
I'll make that.
All in favor? Aye. I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry for the long process here.
Good night, all. Happy New Year.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Lindsay, I'll talk to you soon.
Looking forward to it, Peg. Thanks.